Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video on the channel where today we will be beginning a brand new career mode in Spain's La Liga. And after a fantastic season in real life where they have received massive plaudits for finishing in a Champions League spot, we're going to be beginning our journey with Girona.
Señoras y señores, les presento a nuestro nuevo manager.
So yes guys, welcome to the brand new save. Of course, as I've just mentioned, we're going to be starting with Girona, who are a team who have done fantastically well this season in La Liga. So they're a team I've wanted to use in career mode this year. And obviously because we had our ongoing career mode, just haven't got the chance to do so, but this is our opportunity. I love La Liga, it's really competitive, and as you can see, Girona have a really good squad to begin with. So it's not so much of an RTG, as I'd say we're already quite an established team, and yeah, I'm hoping that in this first season this squad is going to be good enough to take us into the Champions League as it was for Girona in real life. But you can see the squad coming across here, and the starting 11 particularly is very solid. We're lacking a little bit outside of the starting 11, but we will be looking to recruit in this first transfer window, which I'm going to get into a little bit more later on. But of course, Girona are owned by the same group that own Manchester City, so they've got a couple of links to Manchester, which I'm going to try and sort of tie into this career mode save. But one of the things we love to do in our career modes is keep things as realistic as we can. And I've got a couple of things that I'm going to be implementing to this save to try and keep them realistic. So as we run through the squad here, the main sort of rule, if you want to call it, that I'm implementing is the La Liga 25 player squad registration limit. So we're only going to be allowed a squad of 25 players. In our actual first team, of course, we can have players out on loan in the youth team, but we're not allowed to exceed that 25-man squad limit. And I believe there's also ruling in La Liga to say that you can only have 3 players that are non-EU. Now, I've actually been doing a little bit of research into this, as you can see the captain Alex Garcia here, fantastic player. I've been doing a bit of research into the squad registration rules, and I do believe it is 3 non-EU players. So we've already got a few at the club that you'll be seeing coming through here, but I do believe that there is a slight sort of workaround with this where players can apply for Spanish citizenship, and that means that they don't count as one of the non-EU players. So we're going to look into that in a little bit more detail, as I think we may have a few players such as Christian Stuani, maybe Paulo Gazzaniga as well, who would qualify for the Spanish citizenship. So we may be able to sign 1 or 2, as I have noticed Girona in real life at times have had 5 players from non-EU in their squad. So I think there must be a workaround. But the squad that we've got is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to bringing in a few players, developing what we've already got, and I'm really buzzing to get started. So without any further ado, let's jump straight in. So then guys, I've done enough waffling already. Let's jump straight into the action now. Starting off with our budget, we've actually got one of the smallest in the league. Apparently we've already spent some money. I think that might be on some scouting. So our budget's already down to £9 million, and I'm actually going to straight away go ahead and spend pretty much the majority of that on some youth staff. So we've already got a 5-star, 4-star. I'm going to go ahead and hire 2 more scouts as well. Now we'll start off with Nacho Fernandez, nice namesake for the Real Madrid defender. I'm hoping for a 5-star, which we've not got, so we'll go for Alex Cano. So we've got about 5 million left in the budget, 3 scouts secured, so I already know where I'm going to send them. So I've already thought pretty long and hard about where these scouts are going. The first one is going to go to Spain, keep him in our home nation. Of course, you know I like to look for those homegrown talents. As for our second scout, well, Girona actually have quite a few players from Brazil. You think Savio, who's in on loan, Jan Couto, as well. So they've got a couple of players in the squad already at the moment who are Brazilian. I don't think I've scouted Brazil this year or last year in the Glory Hunter either. So we're going to get a scout out to Brazil. And then finally, Alex Canho, he is going to be heading, he's going to stay in Europe. And similarly to our Brazil scout, he is going to be sent to Ukraine, as again, we've got a couple of players in the squad already that are Ukrainian, Viktor Zygankov and Dovbik as well up top. So we're going to keep those scouts looking for players that we're already sort of moulding into our squad. And those three are going to be sent out on their missions straight away. And so again, that has taken quite a big hit from our budget, leaving us with around 4 million. So if we are going to sign anyone, we're going to be looking at free agents, potentially some loan players, and players that we can pick up on cut price deals that are good value for money, at least for this first season and possibly the next as well. We're also going to try and raise some funds from some player sales. So I'm going to go through the squad now, decide who I'm happy to get rid of and put them on the transfer list. Now, I don't want to get rid of too many players. I want to keep especially the main starting 11 very similar as to how it was in real life. So it's more just going to be youngsters who are going out on loan and squad players that we sell. So a couple of names onto the transfer list. We've got 4 players loan listed who are all under the age of 20. Artero, I'm not sure if I want to keep or loan him, but if we can get him out on loan, then I will send him out for a year or two. Selvi definitely needs to go on loan, same as Iker Almenya, and as well this young Hungarian centre-back Jakobishvili. He's not going to play much, and at 18 he needs to be playing football, so they're all on the loan list. As for the players that are transfer listed, there are quite a few actually that I'm going to try and get rid of. So we've got mainly young players who I don't think are going to make it, and veterans who I think are sort of past it. So we've got Carlos Garrido. He's 54 overall. He's just never really going to grow enough to make it in this team. Juanpi is an experienced centre-back, but again, 32 years of age, 73 overall. He's only going to get worse, so just going to cash in on him now. Same as Juan Carlos, backup keeper. Not going to bring in any money, but at 35 years of age, I think we can bring in someone better. We've got Borja Garcia, similar story to Juanpi, 74 overall. Could do a job as a squad player, but I'd rather get some money for him and reinvest it in someone younger, as he is now 32. David Lopez, he's the one who's going to bring in the most amount of money. He is 80 overall. Similar to Juanpi and Garcia, I think he's going to start decreasing pretty rapidly, and he's going to lose any monetary value that he does have. So I'd rather sell him now and reinvest that money into someone younger. Tony Villa is a similar case. He is only 28, but again, he's not going to get any better. And at 74 overall, I think we can get some money for him and reinvest it in someone younger. And then finally, we've got this young lad, Justin, 19 years of age, left mid. I think we've got better players in those positions. His path could potentially be blocked by those players. So I am going to just cash in on him now. Only 19 and could have some decent potential, but I'm happy to let him go. So let's just start simming through. We'll try and get some of these players off the books, as we're going to have to sell before we can bring anyone in. So we've already had our first few bids here. We've got a loan offer for Iker Almenya, who's one of the players that we'd like to get out on loan. I quite like that one as well, going to CD Leganes in the Segunda division. And also a big bid for David Lopez from Borussia Dortmund. And he is, as I say, the one man that I think might be able to bring some money into the club. The opening bid of 9.1 is actually pretty decent. If I can get around 12 to 12.5 million, then that would be... well, I was going to say that would be ideal, but it doesn't look as if he's going to be heading to Dortmund. Maybe my asking price a little bit too high for Lopez, but I don't think 3 million is really that big of a discrepancy, but hopefully someone else will come in for him. Now, I have got a big shortlist that I've sort of I've comprised myself. I'm not going to go through every single player on here, as there is absolutely loads of them, but quite a few players on here that we may be taking a look at either in this first season or later on down the line. As I say, it's a long list of transfer targets, but yeah, we'll be looking to bring players in this first year to bolster out the squad. But if you do have any transfer recommendations, then please do let me know down below. So I've just agreed a few more deals as well. Jakubashvili hopefully heading out on loan to Alaves. We've delegated that. Carlos Garrido, we've agreed a £250,000 deal with Randers. And also Nottingham Forest have come in for Tony Villa, where we've agreed a £4.5 million deal with Nuno Espirito Santo. Another loan bid for our Hungarian centre-back here from Espanyol, so we've delegated that. And also another bid for Tony Villa, this time from Osasuna. I've accepted a £5 million deal with the Spaniards, so I'm hoping that he decides to stay in Spain, as every penny is going to count for us. So I've just negotiated the loan deal of Almeida to Leganes on a 2-year deal, so hopefully that is going to go through. I've also received a bid from Norwich for Artero, so I'm going to try and get him out to the Championship. Couple of other interesting bids. Now, this one for Arnau Martinez from Barcelona, probably one of 3 teams that I would consider selling players to: Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. But I'm not going to do so in this first season. I want to at least keep the team together. If we can get into the Champions League, then I think players are more likely to stay with us. But I don't want to be selling my star players in the first season, even to big domestic rivals where they'd probably rather go and play. So going to keep Martinez and most of our other stars here. Also had another bid for Lopez here. Again, I'm going to ask for 12.5 million, and Lazio say that they're happy to pay it. So Dortmund, okay, fine, you can walk out of negotiations. Hopefully he is going to head to Italy. So I've just negotiated a price of £750,000 for our backup keeper, Juan Carlos, who looks as if he could be heading on his way to Strasbourg. And it looks as if we've got our first sale of the window here, as Garrido is heading to Randers, which I'm absolutely fine with. As I say, at 54 overall, I just don't think he ever would have made it in this squad. So I've just negotiated the same price with Inter Miami for Juan Carlos, so he can choose whether he wants to go to France or go and play out the final few years of his career with Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets. I'll leave the choice up to him, but I know where I would be heading. We've also had the loan back for Artero, so we'll negotiate that with Norwich, and it also looks as if Jakubashvili will be heading to Deportivo Alaves. So I'm just looking at my transfer shortlist here, specifically at centre-back, and my main target is this young man, Christian Mosquera. But I've just seen that Atletico Madrid have had a bid accepted, so I don't really want to let him go to the Mestalla. And I'd rather he came and played under me, where he's going to get more first team football. But I need one of my big player sales, possibly Lopez, to go through before I can look to bring anyone in. So I'm worried that we're going to lose our #1 transfer target, centre back. Well, it does look like we've got a big sale, and I think that is Lopez being walked out of the building. We're not going to watch the whole animation, but yep, Lopez is gone, and that will massively raise our transfer budget, and I'm hoping to reinvest that 12.5 million into a couple of players. We've also seen another deal go through, so that's Tony Villa. He has decided to stay in Spain, which gets us another £500,000 than if he'd gone to England to play for Nottingham Forest. So couple of deals going through that have massively raised our budget, and we can now start to think about reinvesting that money. Just another quick one as well. Iker Almenya's also seen his loan to Leganes go through. So 3 deals through on the same day, and good to start getting some traction. And those sales have raised our budget up to around 21.25 million. So that gives us more than enough to go after Christian Mosquera. Now, with Mosquera, again, there's an argument to be had in terms of realism, letting him go to the Mestalla. But I'm going to say it to Christian, if you go there, you're going to be probably loaned out. You're never going to be near the first team. If you come to Girona, yes, we've got Daley Blind and Garcia as well, but neither of those guys are probably going to be around the first team next year, with Garcia on loan from Barcelona and Daley Blind now into his 30s. Christian Mosquera, you are the future at centre-back for me, and I want to bring you in. Now, he is probably going to cost a fair bit of money, so I'm actually going to try and offer them 1p in a deal as well. I'll add a sell-on clause, as that's sort of redundant. And they do want the Spanish centre-back. Okay, we've been going back and forth with Valencia. Going to go in with 8 million, but it looks as if we're going to have to pay a little bit more than I wanted to. 8.5 million plus 1p, and they're not budging on 8.7. Okay, well, in that case, I'm just going to have to pay it. So, Christian Mosquera is in on a 5-year contract worth 15 grand a week. And we maybe paid a little bit more than I wanted to. But with Juanpi going the other way, and at 32 years of age, Mosquera coming in at 19, I think it is a good piece of business for 8.7. Plus the veteran Spanish defender. He looks a really solid option at centre-back. Got lots of room to grow, and I see him becoming a starter in this team by the end of the season. Welcome Christian Mosquera, the first signing of the season. Well, we've got another deal going through here, and I think this is Juan Carlos. Yep, backup keeper has gone to Strasbourg. And I'm surprised he didn't want to go and play with Lionel Messi, but decides to stay in Europe, so can't really blame him for that. But he is off and doesn't bring in a huge amount of money, but another name out the door. So I just wanted to quickly touch on something that we discussed earlier regarding the non-EU sort of rules and regulations. I've tried to get clarification on it. But so at the moment we've got 5 players in the squad. So we've got Savio and Jan Couto, who are both Brazilian but are both in on loan. We've got Gazzaniga, who's Argentinian, Christian Stuani, who is Uruguayan, and Solis, who is Colombian. I believe there is a bit of a workaround in the fact that some players who have Spanish citizenship don't count against your numbers. I'm not sure if loan players count as well, because obviously Savio and Couto are both on loan. I think that you can only have 3 in your matchday squad, so I'm a little bit unsure what to do, because Solis looks a decent player, but is he worth taking up one of our non-EU spots? Interestingly, I think Gazzaniga and Stuani would both qualify for Spanish citizenship, so they actually wouldn't count against the numbers. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow myself to sign one more non-EU player, but I'm going to try and stick to a limit of 3 per matchday squad. And as we've taken such a big hit on the transfer budget with our one signing that we've made so far, we have been looking at some free agents. Now, ideally, we would just sign all of these guys because they're all great pickups. But with the non-EU regulations, I think I'm going to have to pick one of these guys to sign. Now, it seems a bit of a waste to use it on a backup keeper, so I think Luis Malagon will leave for now. Stamanic is only 71 overall, and Eric Sanchez is actually negotiating with Fulham at the moment. So I think I'm going to allow him to join the Premier League, which leaves us Luis Chavez. And I really like the look of this guy. The high stamina, very good passing on and off the ball. Can play sort of left centre mid, being left-footed, or potentially a little bit deeper. High work rates, and I really like the look of this guy, as I say. So I'm going to bring him in as a freebie to save some money and use up one of our non-EU spots. So Luis Chavez is in on a 3-year, 30 grand a week contract, and I think this is a really shrewd bit of business. Of course, picked up on a free transfer, which saves us massively in regards to our transfer budget, and he's potentially good enough to walk straight into the first team, or at least be a very solid bench player for us. Luis Chavez, welcome to Girona. So it looks as if we've got another deal going through here, and it's Artero going out on loan to Norwich. He was one that I was umming and ahhing about whether to keep for this season, but he is heading out on a 2-year loan. Same as Jakobishvili. Of course, we can recall them if we are struggling and need some extra cover, but I'd rather get them out playing some first-team football. Well, we've had an interesting bid here for Paulo Gazzaniga. And he's a very good goalkeeper, 81 overall, 31 years of age. But we could get around 20 million for him if we were to try and sell him. And he is taking up one of those non-EU spots, being Argentinian. Villarreal have come in for him, who of course are a rival in the league. But I think if I can negotiate and get around 18 to 20 mil, I might be tempted to sell Gazzaniga. Now, this might potentially be a bit of a risk. I'm going to ask for 20 million. If they walk away, then I'm not too fussed. But they want to give us a player, which I'm not really too fussed with. I'm going to ask for 19.5. They're still in the room, so okay. Well, Marcelinho wants to bring him in. 19.5 million for Gazzaniga, valued at just 11.5. Still 3 years left on his contract and 31 years of age. If he wants to join Villarreal, then I won't stand in his way. Okay, so big developments. Paulo Gazzaniga is off to Villarreal. He's going to love us and leave us, but Paulo is staying in Spain, but switching allegiances to Villarreal. That's a big move. 19.5 million is a lot of money to go into our transfer budget, but he is a very, very good keeper. So we're going to have to try and recruit someone who's going to be just as good, if not better, than Paulo. But it does also give us a lot of money to reinvest elsewhere in the squad. So I've just negotiated a loan for this young lad, Selvi, to Samsun Sport. But with around £30 million in the budget, we definitely need to replace Paulo Gazzaniga. Now, I've got a couple of names on the shortlist. The two that are really standing out to me are Julen Agarizabala from Athletic Bilbao and also Arnau Tenas from Paris Saint-Germain. Now, Tenas playing in France as a Spaniard. We would be bringing him back to his home nation. And of course, he's going to be behind Donnarumma and Keylor Navas there as well. So he's probably not likely to play, whereas he'd come here and be our number one. He's obviously a bit of a downgrade on Gazzaniga, but I do think he's got quite a decent ceiling at being at just 22 years of age. So he's got a bit of work to do in some of his stats, and it is a bit of a gamble to bring a young goalkeeper in to be our number one. But I think I'm going to see what deal I can strike up with the Parisians. I'm going to go in at 7.5 plus a sell-on clause and that young lad Justin, who they do actually want, so at least that means we can get rid of him. We're going at 8 million plus the young man. Well, PSG just not budging on this 8.9 million, so it'll be 8.9 plus the young man Justine, who I don't really include in the deal. It's just to get him off the books because I can't sell him. But Tenas looks like he could be heading back to Spain to be our number one. So Tenas is in, and I do think this is a good bit of business. He looks like he's going to have quite a high ceiling. Of course, 22 years of age, very, very young for a goalkeeper. It is a bit of a risk to bring him in and throw him in the deep end as our number one, as we're challenging for hopefully Champions League football this season, but it's one for the future as well. I did pay slightly more than I wanted to, but PSG were just not budging on 8.9 million. So hopefully, as I say, an investment for the future as well as the present. Well, we've just seen the loan deal for Selvi go through, so it's just Borja that we're left waiting to try and get rid of, and then I'm happy with what's left at the club. I'd like to bring in one or two more players to reinforce the squad, but in terms of outgoings, that is it, just Borja to go. Still waiting to get rid of Borja, but I'm going to go ahead and make my next signing, and I think I'm going to go for this man, Thomas Suslov. Don't know anything about him really. Currently playing out in Italy with Hellas Verona. And he's a left-footed, sort of attack-minded player. Can play attacking midfield or on the right-hand side, potentially a little bit deeper centrally as well. But I really like the look of his stats. I mean, you look at his physicals, he's very, very quick, great agility, great balance, so he's going to feel great on the ball. The stamina and strength are pretty good as well. I like the high aggression, and technically he's very good as well. Good ball control, good dribbling, shot power and long shots are decent. Finishing's not the best, but that can be worked upon. And I just really like the look of this guy. He's versatile, he's left-footed, so on that right-hand side he's going to be able to cut in and cause an issue. Or as I say, he could play slightly deeper as a left centre mid. And I don't really know anything about him. Thomas Suslov. Let's see if we can strike up a good deal with Hellas Verona. Now my plan here as well is to throw Borja Garcia into the transfer negotiation. So I'm going to go in at 4 million plus Garcia and just hope that they want to take him, which they do straight away. Okay, well, we maybe could have got him a little bit cheaper, but I was expecting them to say no to Garcia. That's absolutely fine by me. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Let's see if we can bring the young man in. So Thomas Suslov is in, and again, a player that I don't really know much about. I've very rarely used Slovakian players in FIFA or FC, so quite looking forward to having this guy in the squad. Obviously only 73 overall, so he's probably going to be more of a bit part player, but I think he's got some room to grow. I really like the look of his stats, and yeah, looking forward to having him as part of the squad this season. I think that's a good bit of business. So this is how the squad is currently looking with 21 players in the first team. So we've still got room for 4 more signings if we want to. How much money have we got left in the budget? Still 16 million. So a little bit of room left to bring in a few more players. So we're fast approaching our first game of the season against Real Sociedad at the Reale Arena. So again, just looking at the squad and thinking where potentially we could bring someone in, and we've got quite a lot of players to play centrally. But I'm looking at Pablo Torre here. He's on loan from Barcelona, and because the loan system's so broken in this game, he's probably going to be recalled in January. And I've got a player on the shortlist who I quite like the look of. Gives me similar vibes to Pablo himself, currently playing out in Parma, but Adrian Bernabe, very, very good technically. I like the high stamina. He's very, very good on the ball, and again, can play at anywhere through the spine, can play as a 6, 8 or a 10. And I think if Pablo is going to be recalled, which is likely in January, if we can pick this guy up for £10 million, I think that'd be a good bit of business and one for the future. Well, I've just been negotiating with Parma here, and it looks as if we're going to pick Adrian up for 7.8 million, which I personally think is a fantastic piece of business. He's on really low wages, although he will probably want an increase, and I think that is a fantastic negotiation with Parma. So Adrian Bernabe is in, and it's a fantastic piece of business for, I think it was £7.8 million to Parma. 22 years of age, and again, another player with a very high ceiling. Really, really well-rounded stats. I really like the look of this guy, and I think playing anywhere through the spine of this team, he's going to be a really, really solid option. So we have made it to the first game of the season, and I think to close out what has been a fantastic introductory episode to the new series, we will play this first game at the Reale Arena to take on Real Sociedad, where it looks like Marco Reus could be making his debut for his new team. This is our lineup for the game. A couple of debuts, new players that we've signed, of course. Tenyas in between the sticks. Really like the fullbacks of Martinez and Gutierrez. Our 3 midfield technicians, Herrera, Martin and Garcia as well, with Zaykankov and Savio on the wings, and Dovbik spearheading the attack. I think this team is really good enough to push on and finish in a top 4 spot this year, but this is a real tricky test to kick off the campaign against Sociedad. Turientes again, cut out by Daley Blind, and now we can push forward with Miguel Gutierrez. Dovbyk. Lovely feet. And look at the space for Zygankov. The Ukrainians linking up. And Viktor Zygankov bends home the opening goal. And the first goal under my management here with Girona. Fantastic little breakaway. Great hold up by Dovbyk. The Ukrainians link up and Victor finishes it past Ramiro to give us the lead. Bryce Mendes, Zubamendi, nice build up. Kubo shoots, it's off the post. And Martinez will get his foot on the ball. And whether we can compete for the title, I'm not too sure. I think Real Madrid and Barcelona probably still one step ahead of us for now. But I think definitely for this season, if we can get into the top 4, as Real Sociedad equalised through Andre Silva, then it's been a good campaign for us. And there is the whistle at the Reale Arena. And it's a decent point on the opening match day. Viktor Zygankov gave us the lead, but Andre Silva's second half equaliser does mean that the scores end 1 apiece. And to be honest, that's a decent point against one of the sides who will probably be competing with us for European football this season. A solid point on match day 1. Alright then guys, that is going to do it for episode 1 of our new La Liga career mode. I think it's been a fantastic start off the field with some fantastic business done in the transfer window and a decent point in match day 1 of the season against Real Sociedad. We'll be back in the next episode to close out the summer transfer window and kick on with more games in La Liga as we look to get off to a good start. I hope you have enjoyed, guys. I'm really looking forward to this save and I hope you are too. I'll catch you for the next episode very soon and peace.